I think the whole thing, the fascinating thing for me is to be a producer. That's always just been fascinating for me. Like a producer is just like someone that like is literally like making something,
Yeah.
using ideas and then tools.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's always been fascinating to me. I've always understood that concept of like piece of paper, markers, pencil, right? Like content, phone, camera, voice, right? Music, microphone, instruments, right? The ideas and then having the tools to be able to express that. It's like all you need, man. It's just, I feel like that's like such a better way to look at life and entrepreneurship too. I feel like that's something that I really want to start drilling more into, by the way, into my messaging. It's just like, I really feel like this brand is just like right on the cusp of something even bigger. And I feel like it's going to come from having these types of conversations.
Yeah.
Where it's like, who the fuck else is talking about this? Where it's not like I'm doing it to be so fucking different and individual. It's almost like there needs to almost be a shift in conversation, right? Where it's like, hey, why don't we look at business ownership and why don't we look at achieving our goals as less of a, because I just don't really like the rhetoric around entrepreneurship, that it's like, yes, it's hard. It's difficult. But I just don't like that. It's just like there's too much emphasis on the dark side and not enough on the positive of like what you're actually doing, and what that is like it's a full expression of your like of yourself, you know, when you're building something like that.
So true.
And it's just I just think I just feel like, and like, you know how people okay, maybe 5 or 10 years ago you could say just like don't follow your passion, just like go after where the money is. But now, you know, in this day and age, the only way you make the most amount of money is you like follow your heart. And I feel like that's a really big that's a very spiritual event.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like that's happening. That's like a shift that's happening across a lot of people. Is like they're realizing it's not about money. Like once, because everyone always surface level thinks it's about money, then you just dig fucking 1 inch below the surface, and you realize it's not even about money. It's about people want freedom. People don't want to work for someone else, you know, most of the time. You know, people want to live life on their own terms, and there's just a lot of negative associations with, you know, working a 9 to 5 and working and being an employee. Not that it's bad, and the truth is, actually, I'll argue this and say this, because that's the case. There's a lot of companies, small and large, making massive changes in their, you know, in the way that they run their organization to make it more beneficial for their employees. And also, you know, like for example, the last job I worked at, like I still, you know, give him credit where credit is due, because he created opportunities for us in that small company. And I think that's a big thing, is like,
Yeah.
a lot of people, first of all, like they don't even have the mindset to be able to see opportunities. So they're like fucking every job they work at, they think everyone's fucking scamming them. You know what I'm saying? And like all this bullshit, but it's like never.
Everyone's out to get them.
Yeah.
For everything in life.
Yeah, exactly, bro. It's like such a fucking, so like that's the first thing, is like you can't even really be that way. You have to err on the side of like, I know what the truth is like most people care about themselves. Most people, like, especially in a bigger company, right? And you're going to become a number. Like it's harder to become, you know, to move significantly in a bigger company, but there's a lot of smaller companies. And actually, I'll offer you this, because this is just practical advice, because this is what I did. You know, like when I worked my last job, you have to start like operating under the mind frame that you're going to use everything that you're experiencing for the future. So like you're starting to use everything as like trait adaptation. You know what I'm saying? Like you're so everything that's happening, you're like, okay, this is like becoming who I am, right? It's all it is reframing the current situation that you're in. The way I did it was, I've said this before. I just looked at the job that I was working as I was using it and it wasn't using me. Get what I'm saying? That just it changed my approach. That's what it is. It just changed the way that I operated, right? And actually, this is why I always put an emphasis on how I knew this was my moment. This is how you'll know it's your moment when you can move on. This is like almost 100% sure you'll be able to know is when you actually are applying yourself fully. Because when you say like, oh, this opportunity isn't for me, but you haven't applied yourself fully, you don't actually know, right? So with this business, with this job that I was at, I did take it seriously, right? So I already had a reframe perspective. So I'm like, I'm using this job to get an apartment, get a car, build leadership traits, build management skills, all of that, right? So I was working really hard, but I believe that our lives are on timelines, and we operate on like, sometimes we can operate on negative time. And here's what I mean. It's like, I'll give it a really silly fucking example, but this will make sense. My rice cooker has like a countdown timer, right? It has a countdown timer to like when it's done. And then it also has a count up timer to how long it's been warming on the thing. And what the same way you want to look at it is like, your life is on timelines and you have to be ready for the opportunity when it comes. And if you're not ready, you'll operate on negative time. Get what I'm saying? So all that time you'll have to, because you weren't ready for the opportunity, you'll now have to become ready. Get what I'm saying? So this is why it's really important to just work as hard as possible. Apply yourself fully. Stop looking at the world as against you. Just start to look at it as an opportunity, because then when you're on that timeline, right, you're not going to be in that negative time. You're going to be in the positive time, and you're just going to be moving to the next part of where you're supposed to be in your life. Get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I knew that this was the part for me, because at my last job, I was like, I have it good here. I'm working my way up. There's a lot of potential. I was like, but I have to leave, because like, I knew in my heart the way that I felt. It was almost like it was like one day I woke up and I was like, yeah, this like I can't do this anymore. Like I have to leave. You know, and like obviously there was things that built up to that point, but the same way I'm explaining it, it was like the life that I needed to live was eclipsing the life that I was living, that I was circumstantially living. The life that was something was calling me up and I had to leave, right? But I was ready. Now, still scared shitless, still applied for other jobs after that because I was so scared. Sold things out of my apartment because I almost didn't make rent. My brother had to chip in and throw me $1,000 for rent one of the first few months I left my job. I went fucking psycho on social media and just started making 10 to 20 videos a day, because now people, if you understand how I got to that point, anyone who has any slight little bit of drive would understand the situation that I was in. I had mentally decided to never go back, so that all I had was the social media. Get what I'm saying? So I had already been equipped with all this knowledge. I'm listening to the Gary V's, the Andy Frizellas, right? Like I'm already equipped with all this knowledge, but now I knew I needed to act on it, right? So even though it was like any average person would think, oh, well, I'm struggling to pay my rent and maybe this isn't for me and I'm not making $100,000 a month yet, right? And that wasn't even a thought in my mind, bro. It wasn't even a thought in my mind. But the good side of it and the positive side of it is when I left that job, I felt freedom. I'll grab my yogurt out of the freezer. When I left that job, I had freedom.
Also, no one's going to oven off yet.
The oven? Shit. And when I had freedom, I had like time freedom, but I also had like mental freedom, where I could just think now, where I could just be like, okay, like where do I want to take my life? So I really believe that because I was already like applying myself at my old job, I basically just took the same energy that I was spending there and just applied it to social media. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going back to 9 to 5, right? And I was doing Lyft and Uber for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to double down on this. And I started fitness coaching, and that's how I changed my whole life in a matter of just a couple years, really.
Patrick always used to tell me, he always used to say, you know, Pablo, when preparation and opportunity meet, that's where success lives.
So true. That's like pretty much exactly what I'm saying.
Because it's
See,
like,
you could have skipped this whole video.
but it's so true, because it's like you could be prepared and have like zero opportunity around you, like you're like playing it safe, you never like hang out with the right people, like, and you're like, you know everything, you're ready to go, but you don't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have all the opportunity in the world and you're just young and you're not ready yet. You didn't do the work, you didn't put the reps in and master your craft or figure out how to talk to people, you know.
Right.
But when those two things meet, bro, oh my gosh. That's what our whole life is, I feel like.
You know, I think it's a very simple, and people make it complicated,
Yeah.
you know. But life is like a bowl of Greek
I
yogurt.
knew you were gonna say that.
Sometimes it's tart, sometimes it's creamy.
Sometimes it's flowy, sometimes it's streamy.
You got the good gut bacteria, you got the bad gut bacteria. No. Fuck, I'm choking on apple juice. Funniest shit ever. It's like Rick Ross interview. He's like, I've been eating pears and shit. Shout out to all the pear. I have to add that in.
You said that?
He goes, I've been eating pears and shit.